Snow flurried gently outside the small-town pharmacy when Ethan Parker froze, his hands still resting on the handle of the wheelchair he had been pushing up the ramp, something he'd done every morning for months. But this time, Grace didn't thank him softly and roll away. This time, she looked up at him with trembling lips, tears filling her winter-gray eyes. "You don't remember me, do you?" she whispered. Ethan felt the world shift under his boots. "I'm sorry, should I?" he asked, unsure, unnerved. Grace swallowed, breath quivering in the icy air. "3 years ago, you were the man who pulled me from the car before it fell off the bridge." Her voice cracked. "You tried to save my husband too." The wind stilled. The Christmas lights hanging above the pharmacy door flickered softly, as if the entire world were holding its breath. And Ethan Parker felt his heart shatter, because he suddenly remembered everything. Everything he had spent years trying to forget. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in people who still step up when the world turns away, take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to see will restore your faith in humanity. We'd love to know, where are you watching from? Comment below with your country and region, and let us celebrate the kindness that connects us all. Now, let's begin. Ethan Parker's mornings always began the same way, especially in December, when the sun rose late and the chill of winter crept into the bones of Maplewood, the small town tucked between the pines of upstate New York. It was a quiet place, wrapped in white this time of year, with garlands hanging from lampposts and red ribbons tied onto every porch. It smelled of pine needles, wood smoke, and Christmas. Ethan parked his old, dented pickup truck in front of the pharmacy every morning at 7:12 a.m. sharp. He would step out with a coffee in one hand and the small purple backpack of his daughter, Lily, slung over his shoulder. He always dropped her off at Maplewood Elementary at 7, then came here to pick up her asthma medication and grab something quick for breakfast before heading to the construction site on the north side of town. Routine had become his lifeline. Predictable. Quiet. Steady. He needed steadiness. Ever since his wife, Emma, had died in a car crash 3 winters before, he had clung to routine like a flotation device in a storm. Work, home, Lily. Nothing else. No surprises. No risks. No new attachments. He told himself it was better that way. Until she appeared. He had first seen her early that fall, long before the Christmas lights went up, on a morning that had looked just like any other, until he spotted a taxi door open and a woman struggling to maneuver her wheelchair onto the sidewalk. Her wheels had gotten stuck on the curb, and she was fighting to keep her balance. His body reacted faster than his thoughts. He set the coffee on the truck and jogged toward her. "Here, let me help." She startled at first, eyes wide, then relieved, then embarrassed. Together they lifted and angled the chair until the wheels met the pavement. She gave him a small, tired smile. "Thank you. I'm sorry. I should have asked the driver. I just didn't want to hold anyone up." "You're not holding anyone up," Ethan said softly. Her smile lingered, polite, worn out, but gentle. The kind of smile that belonged to someone life had not treated kindly, but who still chose Grace anyway. After that morning, he began seeing her every day. Same time. Same place. Same quiet thanks. Sometimes he helped her up the ramp. Sometimes he held the pharmacy door. Sometimes he caught a bag that slipped from her grip. She always whispered her gratitude, always left before he could ask anything more. Her name, where she lived, why she seemed so heartbreakingly alone. Lily noticed too. "Daddy, it's the same lady every day," she would chirp from her seat as he opened the truck door. Ethan would nod, pretending it was just coincidence. But deep down, he felt something he didn't dare name. Because Ethan Parker's heart was a scarred thing, stitched together enough to keep beating, but fragile. After Emma died, the world had become colorless. Even Christmas, the season she had loved the most, had become a cold reminder of what he had lost. He still decorated for Lily, still put up the tree, still hung the stockings, but his heart wasn't in it. He moved through life as a man doing what needed to be done. Nothing more. But the woman at the pharmacy, she stirred something old. Something he thought had been buried forever. Weeks became months. He began to notice things he hadn't before. The way her hair shone under the winter sun. The way her hands trembled slightly when she reached for her bag. The sadness tucked behind her polite smile. One morning, Lily insisted on giving her a small white flower she had picked before leaving home. A winter rose barely clinging to life in the frost. "She looks like she needs a happy day," Lily said simply. The woman's eyes filled instantly. "Thank you, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You have no idea how much this means." Ethan didn't understand why those words hit him so hard, but they did. Then came the Tuesday morning in December, the morning of the revelation. The morning everything changed. The snow had fallen softly overnight, leaving the sidewalks covered in a light dusting of white. Christmas music played faintly from the store speakers as he approached the ramp, pushing her wheelchair as he always did. But this time, she didn't move away after thanking him. She turned to him. Really turned to him. Her eyes shimmered. Her breath trembled. And she said the sentence that opened a door he had tried desperately to keep closed. "You don't remember me, do you?" Ethan froze. "I'm sorry, should I?" Her hands tightened on the wheels of her chair. "3 years ago," she whispered, "you were the one who tried to save me. You pulled me out before the car went off the bridge." Ethan's heart stopped. The snow. The thunder. The sound of metal twisting. The screaming. He had spent years burying that night. She swallowed. "You saved me, but my husband didn't make it out." The world dimmed around him. He saw it all. The car teetering over the edge, water rushing beneath the bridge, the frantic struggle to free both passengers. He remembered the man trapped in the seatbelt, the way the car slid, the moment he had to decide who he could pull out in time. He remembered the guilt that had followed him like a shadow. He remembered Emma, too, lost in a crash of her own, months earlier. And how saving this woman had ripped open wounds he hadn't yet begun to heal. "I didn't know," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I recognized you the first morning," she said. "But I couldn't bring myself to speak. I only wanted to thank you. You gave me a second chance to live, even though I didn't know how to live anymore." Snowflakes clung to her eyelashes. "Watching you with your daughter, watching how you still help people even when you're hurting, it has kept me going." He felt the wall inside him, built of grief, guilt, fear, cracked. "Maybe," he whispered, "we were meant to find each other again." From that morning on, their routine changed. They talked. Really talked. He learned her name, Grace Donovan. He learned that she had moved to Maplewood to be closer to a rehabilitation center offering advanced therapy. He learned she had no family left. He learned she blamed herself for her husband's death, just as Ethan blamed himself for every person he failed to save. Pain recognized pain. But so did hope. Day by day, snowflake by snowflake, conversation by conversation, something warm began to melt the ice around their hearts. Something unexpected, delicate, frightening. Ethan found himself arriving earlier, just to be sure he didn't miss her. Grace found herself smiling more, lingering longer, letting herself breathe again. And Lily, sweet, bright, intuitive Lily, fell in love with Grace instantly. They visited her after school. They brought Christmas cookies. They decorated a tiny tree in Grace's apartment. And slowly, as the lights of Maplewood twinkled brighter each evening, Ethan began to believe that maybe life wasn't done offering him the possibility of joy. December deepened. The town filled with wreaths, carolers, and strings of lights that shimmered like stars. Snow blanketed the roofs, the streets, the evergreen trees. Everything felt touched by something magical, something Ethan hadn't felt since before Emma died. Grace began more intensive physical therapy. Ethan went with her whenever he could, pushing her wheelchair through the halls of the rehabilitation center, talking to her about life and loss and the quiet courage of starting over. On one bright afternoon, a week before Christmas, Grace stood for the first time. Just for a moment. Just with support. But she stood. Ethan held her hand. Lily clapped wildly. Grace cried. No, Grace whispered, looking at both of them through tears. We did this. All of us. That night, Ethan sat beside his window, watching snow fall beneath the streetlight. And for the first time in years, he didn't feel alone. Christmas Eve arrived. The entire town gathered around the square as the enormous tree was lit. Bells chimed. Children sang. People embraced. Grace arrived with Ethan and Lily, wrapped in a red scarf Lily had knitted with imperfect, crooked stitches. Neighbors whispered. They had never seen Ethan look so alive. As the tree lit up in a burst of gold, Grace's hand slipped into Ethan's. He didn't pull away. Neither did she. Later that night, outside the pharmacy where they had first collided, Grace took a deep breath. I have something to tell you, she whispered. Ethan turned to her, snow catching in his hair. What is it? I walked today, she said softly. For the first time, without support. His breath caught. You did. She nodded. And tomorrow, on Christmas morning, I want to try again. But this time I want you and Lily there. Ethan's chest tightened, not with pain, but with something brighter. We'll be there, he said. And they were. Christmas morning dawned quiet and white. Snow sparkled like crushed diamonds on the ground. Ethan and Lily arrived at Grace's apartment with hot cocoa and wide smiles. Grace stood at the doorway, hands trembling, not from fear, but from hope. Ready? Ethan asked gently. She nodded. He held one hand. Lily held the other. Grace took one step. Then another. Then another. Slow. Unsteady. Miraculous. By the time she reached the end of the hallway, tears streamed down all their faces. I knew you could do it, Ethan whispered, voice cracking. Grace looked at him with a softness that warmed the entire cold morning. No, she said again, just like that day in therapy. We did this. Outside, Christmas bells chimed. Inside, 3 hearts beat in quiet, healing harmony. That afternoon, as the sun sank behind the pine trees, Ethan watched Grace take a few more steps beside her wheelchair. Lily clapped in pure delight. And for the first time since losing Emma, Ethan felt something settle inside him. A full circle. Not because of luck. Not because of miracles alone. But because kindness had stitched together the broken pieces of their lives. Sometimes the people we help without expecting anything in return are the very people meant to help us heal. And sometimes, especially at Christmas, love finds its way back to us in the most unexpected forms. Even in front of a small-town pharmacy. Even after years of silence and loss. Even when we no longer believe we deserve it. Ethan Parker looked at Grace Donovan, walking, smiling, alive, and finally understood. This was his Christmas miracle. And hers. And Lily's. A miracle stitched together by morning routines, shared sorrow, gentle courage. And kindness. Always kindness.